Welcome to Coffee and the Bull.
There was one in particular when I first started that, he and I would definitely confide in that sort of stuff, that the stresses of it. And that did help. It helped to talk about it because that person understood. You could talk about anything because they've seen the same thing you've seen.
They're on the ugly side of the world with you. So that's one of the things that Mike and I bring up often is that there's a level that your spouse can bring to the table, but there's another level that your spouse can never bring to that table, not because they're less of a person or because they're not at that level. It's just that they don't understand it, and you don't want them to.
No, and not just that. I mean, even if you did divulge, something like that was horrible, and it happened, it still wouldn't be the same because they hadn't walked that path,
right?
And that's kind of one of the things because obviously I haven't worked in narcotics. My bit of us interacting with each other was more of an assistant level. Because I was attached to narcotics, but didn't actually do narcotics work or investigations. But I know that there's been times where I've divulged, to my wife, the different scenes that been on or whatever, whether it be a murder scene or whatever, and have to explain to her because she sees it when you walk when you walk in the house, they know what's going on.
Immediately.
They see it on in your attitude, and I would explain it to her. And nothing against her, but she didn't know how to respond to it.
Right.
And it's so she got to experience. She got to be educated on what I was going through, but had no idea as far as how to approach. And I don't hold that against her. She meant well, but she just didn't know what to do. And so one of the things that we've talked about is when you get that, whether it be a friend or a coworker who you're very in this case. Your coworker was probably going to be your friend because y'all are in a team setting,
Right.
Exactly.
They were able to approach it from a whole different standpoint. And sometimes it's, hey, you need to suck it up. Sometimes it's, hey, look, we can take a moment type thing. Because I know me and John's had the thing where it's like, we'll be on a scene like, not right now, but later.
Right.
We're linking up.
Right.
We're going to need to have a discussion. And I think. For us, having that person, in this case, it's always been a guy lately.
Right.
It's having that guy that you can confide in makes a big deal.
Absolutely.
As far as being able to move on. What was you laughing at? You being immature.
I am.
Immature.
I am. No, so the reason it was important is in previous episodes we've discussed about his I know his indicator is, hey, you got a minute. Sure. And so it's something that we're going to get into later on in other episodes, kind of the importance of men who come home and they have a good spouse or a decent spouse. They can tell when something's not right.
Absolutely.
And when she tries to address it, because we as guys, we don't want to either A, burden her with the problem, or B, we don't want to have to explain the problem.
Right.
Then we get frustrated because that's where the whole argument of what's wrong, and you're like, nothing, don't worry about it.
Right.
And you want to move on, and it becomes an argument. And so that's why I brought it up, so that
absolutely,
when we get into it later down the road, we can help guys and their wives in those situations.
Yeah, 'cause they want to know, that's just part of being a spouse. They want to help you and console you or whatever's going on, and so just sometimes that can't happen.
Right, and it's hard for people when you don't understand. Something's wrong, but you don't understand. I equate it to fixing a car. The car's not running right. Right. And you want to get in there, you want to fix it, but you're like, I don't even know where to start.
It's making a noise.
Right.
My wife tells me, my car's making a weird noise. I'm not a mechanic. I don't know what to tell you. Like, I can change a battery, I can change oil, maybe an alternator or two, but outside of that,
it's weird because I have these same conversations with you. What's up? Besides, it's not running.
Yep.
What's it doing? Well, not running. I'll tell you that's what it's doing.
Yeah.
So what brought you to the point that you decided to write the 3 pages? So, was there an event or something that transpired?
Again, I was still attached to the DEA SRT, and we were doing a lot. We were going a lot of different places, getting duty orders, different states and stuff like that to work. And I guess, and y'all been there, things culminate. After a while, it kind of comes to a head. And early on in my career, probably the part that it's always affected me the most, after I've been in law enforcement about a year, I actually was asked to be on the dive team at the sheriff's office, which was also a recovery team. Basically is what it was.
Like going underwater.
Yeah, and so we
In South Louisiana.
yeah, the agency I worked with had a lot of rivers through that parish, and of course it's all black water. In any water for the most part, if you get about 10 feet down, and especially in
Like
this region,
visibility is
it's
not
black.
gonna be there,
It's
right.
black water. You can't see anything. And I think during my 4 years on that team, we recovered, I believe, 7 bodies, and it puts a different spin on it. Whenever you have to feel for a body and that sort of thing, and
Because you're blind feeling.
yeah, you're blind feeling, and it affects you different.
Yeah.
And especially some of them were kids and
Right.
Right.
Well, I was going to
stuff
say
like
that
that.
is typically it's people who aren't good swimmers, so
Right.
it's
Right.
kids or something,
and
something like that.
that sort of thing. That's probably out of everything that I've seen and been involved with over the years. That's probably affected me the most. And I guess everything just culminated to that point, and I felt writing was a way to maybe help that. And it
Right.
and it has it did then, and I was finally able to get to a job now where I can have a little more time on my hands and not get called out all the time. And write these books, it has definitely been therapeutic for me. So
Right.
Question. What do you think would be worse? Getting attacked by an alligator or getting attacked by a shark in the water?
Whew. Both of them have really bad teeth.
Yep. Yeah, I don't. But
I would think the alligator.
I think the alligator would be worse because then you get a spin.
Yeah, they roll with
Like,
you.
Yeah,
imagine being you're underwater, you're obviously in a lot of pain, and now you're dizzy.
okay, I'm with you on that one because the alligator wants to drown you. The shark just wants to chomp you into pieces.
Yeah, true.
So part of you may not get ate.
Right.
You may just end up on the bottom. But when you said the water was black, I was like,
Yeah.
Yeah, can't see.
Like,
Yeah.
did you ever accidentally feel an alligator?
No, I didn't do that, but I did. We had some really good equipment. We had some grants that we were able to get, and had some really good equipment, like full face masks. We weren't just using them. We could talk.
Yeah, so you could just see the
radios.
black wall.
Right,
You could.
right.
You're not going to see
Yeah.
anything else, but you just
Yes.
don't see.
And you could
I can
talk
see
and-
that I can't see anything.
Right.
Right.
I can tell everybody I can't
Yeah.
say anything.
Yeah, and I actually developed, claustrophobia.
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't do it anymore. After 4 years and dealing with black water, I would go down and
So,
it freaked me out.
I think that's always interesting because I didn't do underwater. I didn't do scuba. I did for a while when I was working in one of the refineries. It was a Mexican floor plant in St. Gabriel. They make R134A refrigerant. Well, one of the byproducts one of the things that they've got across the entire plant is an acid base that you can't get on your skin. So everything you do is in a SCBA mask or whatever.
Wow. Yeah.
And so I remember I had to climb inside of a vessel to
Sure.
clean some of the wall off with a grinder. And so they put me on this mask, and it's got a hose run to it, so you hear whoosh the whole
Right,
time,
yeah.
And I've got this on, and I didn't realize I was claustrophobic
Right.
until I've got that on my face. So you're not breathing right because it's not your regular breathing pattern.
Right.
And then I had to put a hood and one of those chemical suits on my body. So my feet are duct taped to rubber boots. I've got these big gloves duct taped to my hands, so you can't feel anything either. And so I'm holding this grinder and I'm doing my thing or whatever. Well, all the flakes are hitting the mask or the hood, and so the plastic thing that I'm trying to see through is slowly deteriorating. In addition to the
true.
mask
Yeah.
that is on my face has condensation building up on it from me breathing and start, because you're also working and sweating and everything else. And so when it come time for me to get out, like when I say my mind was not in a good space,
No, it
like
I know what you mean. I know what you're
get
talking
me
about.
out of this thing now.
Full panic. Full panic. I'm literally laughing at this.
The person who was they call it hole watch, to help you when if there was an issue
Sure.
or whatever, they help you get out. He took a break and went to the bathroom. So I come out of
no.
this thing expecting somebody to be there, and I can't see. And I'm not breathing right. Look, I lost my ever-loving mind.
Yeah.
So no, I did that not underwater. You ain't had in water.
Well, it
You ain't had
affected
that
me.
element to
It
it.
affected me so bad that I got out off the dive team in 2012, and then in 2017, DEA sent me to Quantico to Clan Lab school, and part of that school is you have to get test fitted, for an SBCA and all that stuff, where they put the stuff. Anyway, full kit and all that, and I mean, I had to like calm myself down when I was in that suit, the Tyvek suit, and they put the mask on and all that, because I was having flashbacks of, being underwater in that black water, because everything's just right there in front of you.
Oof.
And that's the kind of effect it had on me back then.
Right.
So.
Nope, you can take that.
No, that wasn't no part of that.
They ain't gonna pay me enough to do that. Jump in some of these rivers.
No, you lost me the minute you said get in the water. Like, nope. There's been plenty of times that we've gone out to something and it was swampy, and I was like, nope, ain't gonna happen.
Right. How can I get snake bit?
Right.
So, all right. So obviously,
you got the wrong Irwin.
Right. Obviously, there's things that and it gets kind of beat with a dead horse in the law enforcement realm of, hey, this is tragic. This is something that is just not. It's not right. We don't want to talk about it or whatever. So people understand that aspect of it. But there's also the other side of the coin is you do get the fun interviews. You do get call outs where it's we get addicted to the excitement of not knowing, like you can't make this stuff up type thing or whatever.
That's my favorite. That's what did you say? It was you got front row seats to the greatest shit show on earth.
I don't know. It was
that is true.
It's interesting because I always enjoy calling like, bro, you're not going to believe what we've been on. And for one of the listeners, if you want to tell, evidently there's an interview that I wasn't aware of. That it was an incident where a business that got burglarized in the middle of the night.
And I believe both of y'all were out on it.
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I don't think John was there. The
so
bad guy
mean
went
to
to
me.
jail, so I doubt John had a hand in that. But
this guy.
Yeah. So I, again, like you said, sometimes there are there's a lot of comical moments, dealing with the public. And I was a regular detective, and I called about 2:00 in the morning that a business had been broken into there in the city in which Robert.
Right.
And so when I got there, I think you might have been there. I don't remember. Somebody stood by with me, and I took my photos. And
I know I stayed there for quite a while.
Gathered my evidence. Somebody had busted through the glass, the side glass door, and there was glass everywhere, and there was blood droplets everywhere, and on the counter. And it was odd because nothing was taken.
Right.
The only thing that was really disturbed was the water cooler in the break room. That was really the only thing that was disturbed. So I did my DNA collection on the blood spots and collected a cup or two, and
just need something to drink.
Yeah. Well, that's at least that goes into it. So, whenever I think while we were there, patrol apprehended the subject.
Right.
And anyway, they said they were en route with him because the person had some lacerations on him to the hospital. So I left when I finished up collecting the evidence and photos and all that. I left the scene and went to the hospital to try and speak to the person. And when I got there, I walked into the emergency room and I asked the nurse where this person was, and she directed me down to the room. And of course, the door was closed. And it started when I opened the door, because when I opened the door to this room in the emergency room, I thought it was a joke, because I thought it was Post Malone sitting in the bed looking back at me, because he looked identical to Post Malone. And I actually stopped and kind of looked around like, this is crazy, because he had the same tattoos and the hair, and it looked just like him. So after my mind finally resolved that.
Just to be clear, we did not arrest Post Malone.
Yeah, we didn't.
Facts.
Please don't send your legal team after us.
my mind
Never invite this dude on our show again. He could have been like, "Hey, we're about to get sued by a celebrity."
Right.
My mind finally resolved that it wasn't him, but very very similar in look. So
I'm just impressed he knew who he was.
Oh my God,
that's good.
So I sat down and I started my recorder and told the guy who I was, and the first thing out of his mouth was, and his eyes were all wide, and he said, "Man," he said, "is everybody okay?" And I said, Yeah, everybody, as far as I know, everybody's good. And he's like, man, I'm glad. He said, because that was terrible. And I'm like, okay, I'm not exactly sure what he's about to tell me, And I said, well, tell me what happened. How did you get here tonight? Tell me what the deal is. And he said, man,